Hey,
how's it going, man?
good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for setting up this call. I appreciate it.
Heck yeah, no problem. I got my friend, so this is Benji, and my friend's Ben. I don't know if Benji, if I ever told you, his name's Ben.
Hey Benji, nice to meet you, man.
I think you did.
Okay. Cool. How's the weather down there?
It's pretty warm, man. It's like 60 degrees.
Jeez. It's like 37 or 35 right now.
Yeah.
Oh, is it pretty bad wind chill?
It's cold. It's windy today. I don't know how bad it is.
Yeah.
It's warmer than what it's been.
That one time, remember when we were like 24-mile-an-hour winds? It was freezing.
Yes. It was 10 degrees without the wind chill. That was bad.
I don't do that.
Dedication.
Nice.
Cool.
Very cool, yeah.
Well, I just had a couple questions because either I just really suck at skinning coyotes, or I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of like missing a step, or maybe I'm adding a step that I shouldn't be.
Okay.
Because every time I start learning something on YouTube about flushing and coyotes, they just they make it look so freaking easy. I've done like this tooth coyote. I don't really have like a terrible time skinning them. I don't really have very good setup. I just do that in my truck. I wish I could hang them up, but I live in an apartment complex, so it's a little sketchy, I think. I was just hanging it up in my carport. So I just do it in the back of the truck. I don't really get a ton of meat or anything like that, but what I do afterwards is I take it to the car wash and stuff and like pressure wash it. I heard that was supposed to be good, but I'm kind of curious if that's like, I really have a hard time flushing the coyotes, man. Like I really go to town. I have a flushing beam and everything like that, and I really like put a lot into it, and I feel like it just is. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I know like some guys on YouTube and stuff, like they put their furs in like the fridge overnight. I don't know if maybe that like does something to the fat and like makes it fall off easier or whatnot. But I just see that on YouTube, like take the flushing knife down, you just like pick it up, and there's like this whole heaping lot of like they can just like throw on the ground, and I can't get that, dude. Like I don't know why.
All right, so your first one about washing it, car wash is absolutely fine. I had to do that with a coon. It was frozen into a mud ball with my trap still attached, so I had to spray it off, and you just wash it out that way. I use a big Tupperware deal, and then use that to soak it and then rinse it off in the shower, in the basement shower. And but yeah, no, pressure wash will be fine. The biggest thing is just drying it out. You never really want to skin it, or you absolutely do not want to flush or dry it. Excuse me. When the fur's wet, you got to make sure that thing's just dry as a bone. So that could be a problem for you, unless you hang it up inside your apartment.
Wait a second. Wait, you let it dry before you flush it?
You want that. You don't want wet fur.
So you still want the hide to be a little wet, right?
You want the fatty, the skin side. Absolutely, you don't want that to dry out. The first place to dry out is always the back legs, because they're exposed. Once it's been dried out, like for example, here's a situation. So I skin it first, I brush it out, then skin it, and I already know the cape's dirty because I'm going to get it bloody somehow, some way. And then I wash it as soon as I've got it skinned out, caped out, whatever else, and then I wash it. And then I hang it to dry. Like for example, this morning I finished rinsing everything out because I knew Brian was coming over tonight, and I got everything else done last night I need to. So I've got 2 coyotes, and that's it, I guess. 2 coyotes left tonight. But it's been hanging all day. So when I went home at lunch, I took the comb and kind of brushed it out a little bit more, squeezed as much as water out as I could, brushed it out again. And then when I got home tonight, I just hung it up in the garage, and they're not as dry as they need to be, but you know, there's very, very little moisture coming off them. Because for coyotes, when you put them on the on the stretcher board, you always put them first side in, for depending on how long it is. You don't want it to dry out there, but you don't want it to be still super wet. And I think Brian and I will do a deal on that at some point. But then you flip them first side out.
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again. So after you skin it and wash it and brush it, you put it first side in while you're like letting it dry?
No, first side out when you're letting it dry. So that way it keeps the moisture on the fat, and then it dries out the fur.
So do you just kind of know, like, by looking at it and touching it when it's ready? And if you're not ready to skin it, but it's like ready to be skinned, will you just chuck it in the fridge or what?
I freeze everything. So like for example, like right now in my freezer, I still got a couple coyotes and a bobcat that I haven't fleshed out yet. And so I freeze everything until I know I've got enough time to devote to it because it's a big process. And I mean, you can let it dry the fur side in, but I don't know if a fur buyer is going to buy it from you. You might be able to keep it or something.
Yeah, keep them all. I'm not really very good. I'm just doing it for fun. I'm not like being good at it, but I'm not.
Yeah, so definitely put a fur side in when you get it off the fleshing beam, and then put it on the stretcher board. And it's just, you want it to be a little tacky. You know, you don't want it to be like you can absolutely tell. Like for example, on the one I'm working on, by the time we get done with this call, it'll already start drying out on me. And so it's usually like in my garage, it's not insulated, it's not heated or anything. I'll set it in here, check it first thing in the morning, see if it needs to be flipped. You gotta watch the front arms. They get really stiff and sometimes it's very, very difficult to turn back with the fur side out. And then the other thing you gotta worry about is on the edges. They'll dry out fast because they're stretched out right there. And when you roll off the hide, when it's skin side out, and you want to get the fur outside. Does that make sense? Am I explaining that correct? Brian looks confused.
Yeah. You want the fur to be more exposed in the skin so the skin doesn't curl and dry and whatever.
Well, what will happen is you'll tear the skin trying to get it off, trying to roll it back inside out or outside, whatever. It's supposed to be fur side out.
Is it by those thigh leg or by the inside thigh where that skin's super thin?
Yeah, that's your biggest problem, right around the belly, inside the thigh to the belly.
And that's my biggest problem because I think that like what I do is I'll wash it and I'll let it dry for like an hour or two, man. Then I'll try to go to town on it.
Yeah, let the fur dry, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just kind of afraid of it getting too dry, but.
Yeah, well, this is the way I do it. So I'm sure there could be someone out there that's the way they do it and they've never had a problem in it, and I'm just doing it wrong or something. But like I rather take my time with it. You know, obviously you can't take forever because you don't want the skin to start rotting out on it. But
so will it be a little bit scratchy when you start flushing it?
No.
Okay.
No, like Brian can see this right here.
Yeah, it's pretty wet looking.
Yeah,
Pretty
like
moist.
the fur.
This way here.
Yeah, so sorry Brian's moving the camera, but you can see, I mean, it's wet, but it will start drying out a little bit here. And then on the inside, I can tell, I mean, there's a little bit of moisture still down here, but it's not too bad. I got to worry about it because I use balsa wood stretchers. And so the balsa wood stretcher, it's not good to put anything wet on it. No wet fur. A little bit of water is not going to kill anything. Like don't think it has to be perfect with a hair dryer or anything, but you just don't want to put a wet hide because then it takes forever for it to dry on a stretcher.
Right. So typically, like, do you basically dry it out for like a day, or just depends on the weather, or you just kind of keep watch on it?
It kind of depends on the day and the weather and the temperature and air circulation, all that. The coyote's probably the easiest to ruin for many reasons. The first one is not skinning it quick enough and getting green belly. You start getting some hair slippage. The other part is that they don't have the thickest skin, but they have thick skin. Like it's thin but tough. So a lot of people will actually punch holes in it with their fleshing knife, which happens. I mean, I still do it on accident. I mean, it is what it is.
Do you use the sharp side of the knife or the back side?
There's a lot of different fleshing knives out there. The one I use is a Green English. So I think it's a 16-inch blade. I don't know. I could be saying maybe it's 12-inch. I don't know. But it's got a super sharp side for coon and beaver, and if I ever went any place with otter or something like that, they're really thick back gristle. And so that's way too sharp to use on a thin skinned. The only time I really use it on a badger is if I'm having a really, really hard problem. Usually I just use the other side of the knife, which is sharp, but it's not as sharp. With coyotes, and usually you can just push it. Like I've seen some of those YouTube videos you're talking about. Like there's guys out there that can skin a coyote in less than 2 minutes. That's not me. I'm not going to be that good. I don't do it enough,
I hate them.
Yeah, exactly.
I have the hardest time. I'm like sitting there, like like, I'll try the back side of the knife. And they're like, don't use the other side. You're going to break it. Watch me like hacking at it. And I'm like, what the hell? These guys are liars.
Yeah.
So he's the sharp side of the knife, dude. It's
Yeah.
frustrating.
And you were talking about too about freezing the fur. There is a lot of people that do that, and there is a lot of truth in having that. You know, having the fat, but you don't want to fold it. You want to try to keep it, you know, out, because what will happen is if you fold it, it actually insulates itself. So you got to be careful about that if you stack a bunch of fur on top of each other. But and then yeah, I mean, it does make life easier. It really does. It really does.
Freezing it?
Yeah, or just not. You can freeze it, and you don't want to start skinning it or fleshing it when it's frozen. But when that fat's a little bit harder, like, you know, you can't see it, but this stuff is pretty stringy. You know, so when you freeze it, it's more solid, and it pushes off a lot easier. There's a really good fleshing knife out there for coyotes called the Necker. I think it's Necker 600 or something like that. I don't know, but it's a really good knife. But I don't know. I went with the Green English.
Maybe we could FaceTime a little bit after this to show you what this what it looks like real time. What he's talking about.
I'm not an Apple fan. What is this?
I thought you had an Apple phone.
No way. I'm just kidding. No, I don't have an Apple, but maybe I've just been, I don't know, I guess I just watching YouTube videos and stuff. I must have just been confused with like doing things like as quickly as possible. You know, like I know you can flesh the coyote or skin the coyote as quickly as possible, but I thought you were, I guess I just assumed that you're supposed to flesh it pretty quick too, so it didn't rot or whatnot. But that's my problem. I mean, that's what I've been doing wrong, obviously, is just going way too quick.
Yeah.
So, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then on the fleshing beam, I mean, you know, it takes me probably 20-25 minutes to do a coyote, which is not the fastest, you know, but the way my stuff is set up, you know, I'm not a full-time skinner, I'm not a full-time trapper, I'm not a full-time coyote hunter or anything, so, you know, when you got your day job and everything else in life's responsibility, you do what you can, do the best you can, so, I mean, it is what it is.
No, I take about 3 hours, 4 hours on fleshing a coyote, so 25 minutes sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it shouldn't take that long, man. It could be the knife too. Like, it could be your knife. There's a lot of truth too in the knives out there. I mean, I have a lot to learn about it. When I used to trap and shoot everything, yeah, it's a lot easier to sell everything on carcass if that's what you wanted to do, and that's for everybody else out there. Like, getting into the skinning and flesh. Skinning's easy. I mean, it shouldn't take too long. You'll get good, you know. But the fleshing part and the stretching and all that, you know, like, if you don't have to,
Don't mess with it.
just sell everything on carcass. But for me, it's more about the whole process, and I do enjoy it. It's nice to usually have my bird dogs in here and yelling at them and listening to music and fleshing. So it's kind of nice, relaxing for me.
Yeah, when I lived up there, man, I just shot a couple coyotes and threw them in the back of the truck and then just dropped them off at Walmart. That buyer that came around and gave me $20 a pop. I was all for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's a lot easier. But if you want to start keeping your stuff, like, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll sell the hides I want to sell, but some of the better hides I keep and send off and get tanned, and, you know, I'm going to make a blanket out of a coyote hide.
Awesome.
How come you don't tan them yourself?
You know, I want a garment tan. The garment tan's like the top of the line where it's really soft and subtle and just rolls. And I mean, it's if you want to do something with your hides outside of just hang them on the wall, it's better to send them off to a professional. I mean, you can brain tan them. They got the tanning kits out there, and there's a lot of good stuff. But, you know, for me,
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I tan a couple myself just with the self tanning kit, and they turned out really well. But I had to really break them in after I got that tanning solution in them and stuff like that, and after I put in some like neat sport oil and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just all about like doing it for myself. Can I ask you what's the average pop for setting off to get garment tanned?
it all goes on quantity. And so, and whatever tannery you use, I use a place called USA Fox Furs or something like that. And I don't know, I've never had a problem with them. I know there's people that have had issues with it, but for a coyote, I just got my order in right before Christmas, and I think it's $25 for 1 to 10. And so last year I sent in 10 coyote hides to get tanned.
It's not bad.
And so it's $25 a piece.
Oh, peace.
Yeah. No, I wish, but
Jeez.
so
It cost me about $20 to buy them everything and do everything. So that's a pretty dang good price, I think.
And for me, man, I mean, there's a lot of truth in the time is money and money is time. Like I learn that every single day. You gotta learn what's worth your time and what's not. And for me, like I'm still, excuse me, I'm still debatable on fleshing. Like if it's even worth my time. Like for coons, because of the way the market is, like I find someone to give them to. I might keep a couple. I always sell them around Christmas time. There's always somebody that's asked me for a coon hide or something. So I always keep a couple. But yeah, I think I've got 4 that I've kept so far this year out of probably 35, 40 coons.
Jeez.
So
That's a lot.
yeah, it's just not worth my time. Like I'm telling you, like I'm probably too selfish anyways, but like it's just not worth my time to mess with a coon. And there's guys out there that are freaking aces with it, you know, but that ain't me, and I don't want to be. And unless the fur market goes way better for coons, I'll learn. But until then, I'll still just do a handful a year and not worry about it.
Right, yeah, and I'm not really in it for the money or, you know, I'm not going and checking traps and stuff like that. I just, if I go out with my buddies and I shoot something, I'll just skin it, flush it, tan it. I mean, it's all about just, like, having something to do for me, so I'm not tier level.
No, it's, but in this video, it works out good. The coyote I got, one of the coyotes I got in the snare, I thought I got beat up on the barbed wire fence, but it's actually an old bullet wound. And so I'm going to show on the video on how to sew up a hole. So that'd be good for you guys if you ever have, you know, if you kind of shoot one a little bit far back. I don't know what guns you're shooting, but I haven't had good luck. If you shoot one a little bit far back, it just kind of blows a hole right through it.
Yep.
You got
That's probably my bullet.
yeah, you got to hit him in the shoulder. You got to hit him with something hard.
Yeah. Nice. Well, no, I appreciate your time. I really do. It's been a good experience, so thank you.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Any other questions though?
Not really. That's just really fleshing has been the most frustrating thing for me.
Yeah.
I don't really know anything about trapping, so I mean, I'm excited. I'll go watch some of your videos and stuff. I don't really. I live in Texas right now, so it blows. There's not really a whole lot of public land whatsoever. Like everything's really private. You gotta have a lease and stuff. So I just go knock on farmers' doors and ask if I can hunt on their land and get some bobcats and some coyotes. And I've had really good success down here with that. But as opposed to like going trapping and stuff, I haven't done any of that.
Yeah, and I'll have Brian send you pictures of the knife I use. I don't know, maybe he can text you some short video clips or something off your phone.
Yeah. As soon as you guys are done with that video too, I'd like to try and go, because I know you're pointing at the crowd a couple times in there. I'd like to go see that and stuff.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, thanks, Ben.
All right, Benji, appreciate it, man.
Have a good night.
All right, see you guys later.
See you later.
See you, buddy.
Cool.